What if I told you that the biggest crypto surge that we've ever seen could be just around the corner? No, this is not just another clickbait headline. There are multiple massive catalysts that are all building pressure under the surface right now, and the market is about to feel the blast. We're not just talking about some random bull tweets or X's or hype memes. These are real-world events that could, in fact, trigger institutional waves, mass adoption, and potentially even rewrite the financial system as we know it. Welcome back to JRNY TV, the show that helps you get ahead of the curve and stay there. Today we are breaking down 5 massive events that are all on the horizon and could send crypto into full-on rocket mode, from government reserves to institutional buys, as well as altcoin ETF mania. These aren't just headlines, they are all potential moonshots. Let's kick off with why these types of bullish events are such game changers and how and why they have all historically supercharged the crypto market. Bullish catalysts that are stacking up like never before. In the previous cycles, crypto only needed 1 or 2 major bullish events to help kick off parabolic moves. Think about 2020 PayPal adding crypto services or MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin, and then boom, we are all off to the races. But this time around, there are more bullish events lining up than we've ever seen before in a single cycle. The pipeline is overloaded. State-level Bitcoin reserves, trillion-dollar institutions showing real interest, altcoin ETFs in the works, and real regulatory frameworks finally being pushed forward. And here's what makes this even crazier. We're not even in full retail mania mode yet. Google trends for crypto are still relatively low. TikTok isn't flooded with how to buy altcoin tutorials again, and normies haven't fully jumped in just yet. That means that these bullish catalysts are still mostly priced at institutional levels, giving early investors a golden window. Once retail catches on, it's game over for low prices. So the strategy here, don't just sit back and watch headlines fly by. Utilize this time to position smart, stack up quality altcoins with strong use cases, build watch lists based on narratives that are all likely to trend, like real-world assets or RWAs, meme coins with staying power, or DeFi infrastructure. All bullish events that don't just pump the majors, they send ripples across the market. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is coming. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the US Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. This isn't just a rumor anymore. States like Texas and Wyoming are both already taking real steps to help establish Bitcoin reserves at a state level, and federal interest is ramping right up. Trump's team has already hinted that the government, it could start accumulating Bitcoin without utilizing taxpayer dollars, possibly by selling off gold reserves instead. If this becomes official policy, the implications would be massive. A government-backed Bitcoin reserve, it would instantly legitimize Bitcoin as a national strategic asset, thus putting it in the same league as gold. The effects on supply could be seismic. With only 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence and a big chunk already lost, having the US compete with corporations as well as sovereign wealth funds for Bitcoin, it would create a supply shock of epic proportions. And let's not forget, countries like El Salvador, they're already holding Bitcoin. If the US finally jumps in officially, other nations, they will be sure to follow. This is how game theory plays out in real life. So what should you do with this information? First, you double check your Bitcoin exposure. If you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for your better entry, you might want to rethink that right now. This kind of news, it can cause a violent repricing of Bitcoin. Second, start following Bitcoin-related policy developments more closely, especially around election season. And lastly, do not just bet on Bitcoin. Altcoins that benefit from institutional activity, like Ethereum or infrastructure tokens, could also surge on the back of this momentum. Institutions are now ready to make their first big crypto move. There's something brewing behind the scenes, and it's big. It also is not just hype. Institutions have been quietly stacking crypto, and the pieces are finally starting to come together for their first massive public moves. BlackRock, heard of them? For instance, now holds over $19 billion in Bitcoin across its spot ETF, known as IBIT, according to its latest filings. That puts it neck and neck with Grayscale in terms of its holdings. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Fidelity's spot Bitcoin ETF isn't far behind it either, managing nearly $10 billion, and both firms are expanding their crypto offerings to include Ethereum as well as other assets. Now here's where things get a bit spicy. There's growing speculation that Berkshire Hathaway, let me say that one more time, Berkshire Hathaway may be next. Yes, Warren Buffett's firm, despite Buffett's previous criticism of crypto, insiders have hinted that once he retires, the new leadership could pivot. His longtime partner Charlie Munger has passed, and with Buffett's influence slowly fading, the door is wide open for strategic diversification. Add that to the strong ties between Berkshire Hathaway and BlackRock through multiple investment vehicles, and it starts to make much more sense on why some may believe that Berkshire could shock the world with a massive Bitcoin allocation. So how do you capitalize on this? You watch the whales, you track the ETF inflows, the institutional wallets, and the boardroom shifts at companies like Berkshire, BlackRock, and Fidelity. When these giants make their first move move into new assets, floodgates, they tend to open. You want to be in before that happens, not after. Also, look at what's known as second order effects. Institutional entry often lifts not just Bitcoin, but also infrastructure plays like custody providers, layer 1 chains, and tokenized security platforms. Get ahead of the narrative now and position accordingly. Altcoin ETFs could be the spark for the next alt season. Bitcoin's ETF moment changed everything, but now altcoins, they're lining up for their own shot at mainstream exposure. Major players like Grayscale and WisdomTree have both already submitted proposals for spot ETFs tied to altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, as well as XRP. The SEC, after its surprise approval of Bitcoin spot ETFs in early 2024, has shown signs of softening in its stance. If even a few of these get greenlit, we're talking about billions in fresh capital flowing directly into the altcoin market. The implications behind this, they are massive. Historically, altcoin season, it follows Bitcoin dominance peaks, and we are right on the edge of that reversal now. Bitcoin is hovering around 54%, which is typically where we start to see a shift toward high-performing alts. If ETFs make Ethereum, Solana, and others easier for institutions and retail to access, we could see 10x to 50x moves on select projects, especially those with strong narratives, real-world use, and community traction. So what should you be doing right now? Start identifying altcoins with potential ETF exposure. ETH is the obvious play, but don't sleep on Sol and XRP, as well as any newer candidates like AVAX or ADA. Please make sure to build a diversified basket before regulatory momentum kicks in hard, and track ETF filing updates like a hawk. Most importantly, avoid chasing after approvals. The real gains come from being early, while everyone else is still being skeptical. US crypto legislation is heating up. Here's what you need to know right now. The US is making significant strides in crypto legislation with two major bills, the Bitcoin Act and the Genius Act. First, the Bitcoin Act, introduced by Senator Cynthia Lummis. This bill proposes the establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Plan is for the US Treasury to purchase 200,000 Bitcoin annually over the next 5 years, aiming to accumulate a total of 1 million Bitcoin. These holdings would be managed transparently and held for a minimum of 20 years, positioning Bitcoin as a long-term strategic asset for the nation. Next up, the Genius Act. The bipartisan bill seeks to provide a clear federal regulatory framework for stablecoins. It mandates that stablecoin issuers hold reserves equal to the value of their coins and undergo regular audits. The goal is to protect consumers and integrate stablecoins into the mainstream financial system. Here are some action steps. Stay informed. Monitor the progress of these bills as they continue to move through Congress. Evaluate the investments. Consider the long-term implications of these acts on your crypto portfolio, especially regarding Bitcoin, stablecoins, as well as altcoins. Banks are going all in on crypto. Are you ready? Banks are no longer just watching from the sidelines. They're diving face first into crypto, and it's happening faster than most people realize. Following recent regulatory clarity and public pressure for innovation, major banks are actively rolling out crypto services for their clients. Just this month, JP Morgan made headlines by announcing that Bitcoin purchases will now be available to their wealthiest clients, and more banks are more likely to follow suit now that the Genius Act has passed a key Senate committee. Financial giants like BNY Mellon and Citi are now expanding their crypto custody and tokenization services. Goldman Sachs, they're quietly launching their own digital asset desk, and they're allowing institutional clients to now get exposure to ETH as well as other tokens. And Wells Fargo, remember them? Yeah, they're now rumored to be exploring blockchain-based settlement tools to help speed up internal operations and client payments. This is about more than just adoption. It is a transformation of the entire financial system. So what does this mean for you? Well, for starters, it means that retail adoption is about to skyrocket, and crypto is about to become more accessible than ever before. As banks launch user-friendly products and crypto ETFs become available on brokerage platforms, expect a massive influx of new money into the market, especially once people can buy crypto from the same apps that they use to check their checking accounts. Here is your call to action. Please make sure that you're positioned early. Get your strategy tight, your portfolio diversified, and stay plugged into the news. By the time your friends start asking how to buy their first Bitcoin on their banking app, you'll already be riding the wave. Final thoughts and what to do next. There's no denying it. Crypto is now entering one of the most opportunity-rich environments that we have ever seen. The combination of massive macro events like Bitcoin strategic reserves, institutional giants eyeing entry, and regulatory breakthroughs with incoming altcoin ETFs, they're all creating a perfect storm. Historically, events like this, they have triggered rallies, explosive rallies. But this time, it feels even bigger because for the very first time, nearly every bullish catalyst is all hitting at the same time. Now more than ever, it's crucial to position yourself smartly. Do not wait for CNBC to tell you crypto is back. That's when it's too late. Get ahead of that curve, build build your strategy, lock in your research, do your own research, and diversify across your sectors that you believe in, and stay laser focused on the key dates as well as the announcements. Crypto rewards the early and punishes the hesitation. And remember, this is JRNY TV. We are here to help you stay ahead of that market, cut through the noise, and find that edge. If you found this video helpful, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments which of these 5 bullish catalysts you think will have the biggest impact. We will see you in the next one.